This is the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right, another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast, breaking down everything Districts 5 and 6 in the state of Idaho. My name is Brandon Baney, joined as always by our East Idaho expert, Sean Kane. And you threw your Twitter handle up there on your name tag as well. That's smart. I should probably start doing that. At Sean Kane 182 on Twitter.
Every once in a while, I have the big ideas.
That's right. You really are the big idea man at IdahoSports.com. There's no denying. So, yes, if you're watching video version of this podcast on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel or Facebook page, you can see our little name tags. Audio only version as well at IdahoSports.com and wherever you download your podcasts. All right, no time to waste because we are going to hit all the fall sports here in this Prepcast. We got a lot to talk about. So let's start with football, where I got to be honest, Sean, I think you and I were on the call for the most exciting game of the year so far in the state of Idaho as Shelley took on Pocatello in a non-conference battle last Friday night. It's a wild situation where Pocatello is leading late in the game. Shelley's got the ball, 3rd and goal at the 2-yard line with no timeouts remaining. There's like 30 seconds left. They try to run it in. They don't get it. Well, they've got to hurry up to the line because they have no timeouts. It's 4th and goal from the 2. Nate Nelson gets the QB sneak with just 5 seconds to play, and Shelley wins 24-21. It was such an exciting game.
Yeah, the game had everything. It was back and forth. You never felt comfortable. I mean, from I went from helping to do some color to videotaping, and it was almost harder just watching it on camera. And not being able to say anything just because there was so much going on. There was some turnover on downs too, and some different, just little things that, make the game change just on a dime.
Yeah, it was crazy. So Shelley gets the win. They're now 3-3 on the season. Pocatello drops 2-4. And again, they're trying to navigate their way without starting quarterback Drake Contreras. I will say Hunter May is really starting to look comfortable at quarterback for Pocatello. And Riken Echohawk rushed for over 200 yards. Half of it came on that 98-yard. He had a 98-yard touchdown run in the first half that was just electrifying.
Yeah, I don't know how it wasn't the best play in the state of Idaho, because it was. He's electrifying. He gets out and moves and shakes, and they're asking a lot of him, and he's given the Thunder a lot back in return. So he's been great to watch this season.
So for Shelley, now they get the victory. They're going to get back into high country conference play, and I'll tell you, they're really coming on strong at the right time of the year. What else happened in football last week? How about, this was probably like the big matchup everybody had circled coming in. A battle of reigning state champions. Rigby, the 5A champs, taking on Skyline, the 4A champs, the 2-time 4A champs. Rigby pitches the shutout 28-0. Luke Flowers throws a pair of touchdowns to Brady Packer. Sam Gamino, former Idaho Falls Tiger, now a Rigby Trojan, he rushed for 2 touchdowns as well. And Rigby pretty good. Yeah,
well, the Rigby defense, right? You've got Skyline, which coming into that game, I think is one of the, the better offenses in any division, really, just with their different weapons. And for Rigby to get a shutout, man, you can't sleep on the Rigby Trojans right now in 5A football. I know they're probably not getting as much love as some of the Boise teams, and I mean, watch out. Watch out.
That's right. And Skyline, of course, is going to be just fine as well. They're still one of the best 4A teams in the business, no doubt about it. Another really interesting, 5A, 4A matchup we had was Highland taking on Blackfoot. This was a game that was on IdahoSports.com as well. Highland wins this game 34-28, and kind of contrasting styles here. Highland ends up doing it on the ground. They rushed for 280 yards as a team. Drew Hymas, the quarterback, rushed for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mason Fulmer back to starting running back duties. He ran for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. And for Blackfoot, they did it through the air. Jackson Grimmett threw for 271 yards and 2 touchdowns. Javante King, look at this stat line, 10 catches, 162 yards and 2 touchdowns for Blackfoot. Holy smokes.
Yeah, and I went back and watched that game, and that game starts off with Blackfoot kicking off, Highland fumbling, and they throw to Javante King like on the first play, and it's a touchdown, and it's looking like it could be disastrous for Highland. But I was talking to some other coaches, and they're like, once Highland settles in, who's going to be playing some offensive roles a little more, they're going to be fine in the offensive situation, because I think that was kind of the question mark coming into that game, and they answered that question with the different guys that got run, and Fulmer and and Drew as well. But once that offense settles in a little more, even that's going to lead into our game next week, or this week, I think will be pretty good.
Yeah, so Highland gets the win. They kind of keep pace, and they're 3-3 on the season. And so we will have Highland against Rigby Friday night on IdahoSports.com, Sean. This is a rematch of the 5A state championship game from last year. Although, the last couple of meetings, Rigby has had the upper hand. This is going to be a fantastic battle, though, and you and I will be on the call for it Friday night. Yeah,
that's the game. I think, both teams circle on their schedule. If you talk to their coaches, it's a conference opponent. It's the state championship opponent. I think Highland's super hungry to kind of turn that series around. Rigby's won the last few here in a row, and it's going to be a fantastic matchup.
Yeah. So, what does Highland have to do to be successful against Rigby? We know what Rigby has to do, and that's just continue to play the way they've been playing. But what does Highland have to do?
I think Highland, it's going to have to control the clock and keep the Rigby offense off the field. They're going to, if they can run and control the clock and find a way to kind of get scorers. And I just don't think you want the Rigby offense on the field, as much as he can, because they're pretty dangerous, and they're going to have to find ways to get through that Rigby defense, it's been very, very solid and stingy this year. So I kind of see that being, can Highland's offense muster up something? We know Highland has a defense. We know Rigby has a defense. We know they have Flowers who can throw the ball for Rigby. I think it's, again, a question mark. Can Highland bring some offense into that game?
Yeah, that'll be the big question, and we'll have to wait and see there. Let's talk 3A football real quick. I keep getting emails from Teton fans that are like, hey, we know it's been a while since Teton's been good or on the radar, but you guys didn't even talk about Teton last week. I honestly, I thought we did. I feel like we've been talking Teton up at,
I feel like I said, don't sleep on Teton.
Yeah.
And I said that. And when we were at the game last week, the first thing I told you was, look at this score, and it was Teton taking down Snake River 41-14 last Friday night. And I think that was the first thing I said after our game. I'm aware of them.
Yeah,
I like you, Teton.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, Teton, they came out and this was really the first test for them, because they were 6-0, coming, or 5-0 coming into this matchup with Snake River, a team that had just beaten previously undefeated South Fremont, and Teton blows out the Panthers 41-14. Jack Nelson throws 2 touchdown passes, runs for a third. Ashton Gunther caught a touchdown and had a pick 6. And Thomas Husevelt had a pick 6 for Teton as well. This defense is getting a lot of turnovers and a lot of defensive touchdowns, I've noticed, for the Timberwolves. So now it kind of sets up this showdown in 2 weeks, Sean, where they're going to take on Sugar Salem. Sugar defeats Layton Christian last week, 28-9. Kind of a tight game early. Sugar outscores Layton Christian 21-3 in the second quarter to pretty much put the game on ice. And how about this? We talk about good defense. Sugar Salem limited Layton Christian to -2 yards of passing offense. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, you're not going to be disappointed in the locker room after that. And I think we've been talking about it for a while, that Teton Sugar Salem is going to be just a pretty explosive game for both those teams. Kind of a team like Sugar Salem who's been there, they've done that, right? And Teton kind of knocking on the door, and they want to go, hey, we're the new guys.
Yeah.
Hello.
So you don't know this yet, Sean. I didn't tell you this, but in 2 weeks, Friday night, Teton at Sugar Salem. You and I are going to be there for that game. We will be on the call on IdahoSports.com.
Well, they got the best, and then me, the mediocreest best.
The mediocreest best. That's right. In fact, that's the title. I'm writing that down right now.
And that game, thinking about it too, it could have some implications on max preps and kind of other teams where they stand and fall too. So I think just the game itself is big. Both teams will probably make the playoffs, right? But where everyone lands, that could have a lot of implications there too.
Definitely. Yeah, it's going to be huge because really all three teams are going to get into the playoffs, but it's, where do you get seated essentially is what's going to be key there. So yeah, that's in 2 weeks. Sugar and Teton here on IdahoSports.com. All right, let's go from football. Let's hit the links, Sean. Let's talk about District 5 golf. The Pocatello Century Preston boys and girls held their district golf competitions on Monday in Pocatello. We kind of talked last week about District 6 and how Skyline girls looked good, and Shelley had some individuals that did really well, but now it was District 5's time to shine, and we had some pretty impressive performances here at District 5.
Yeah, on the girls' side of it, Century girls won. They had the top two scorers. Second place, Emma Richards had an 89. She took second, and then Lauren Assad took first, and she's won a couple tournaments this year. She's a really, really, really good golfer. She took third last year in 4A state, and then the third place was Sydney Scott from Pocatello. Sydney and Lauren both also play tennis, so I have to, say a little something there. But yeah, I've known them for a long time, and yeah, some good scores. And Sydney Scott of the Thunder shot a 99, and yeah, the Century girls golf has been just pretty solid for the last 2 years. And yeah, we talked about it, and you've talked about it on other podcasts, is you kind of go up and you see what happens, right? I mean, state will be in Idaho Falls. It's a shorter trip, I think, than normal, and that should be really good. And then on the boys' side, you had the Preston Indians took that one home. Owen Pearson 76 with first place, followed by his teammate with a 78. Trippin Beckstead, and then he got third place from Preston. So Preston had first and third, and then the second place finisher was Logan from the Thunder. So yeah, pretty good there too. And the Preston boys golf, I finding information about this district's golf is like, I don't know if they're keeping it under locks, like some football stats or something, but Preston boys golf's had a really, really good season. I think that's kind of been under the radar too. So you just kind of have to kind of search like National Treasure, get Nicolas Cage on it, and you find out you got some good teams out there in Southeast Idaho playing golf.
That's right. Searching like Nicolas Cage. That's another good podcast title. I'm gonna write that down too. Searching like Nicolas Cage. Yeah, Preston boys, Century girls are your team winners. Lauren Assand of Century and Owen Pearson of Preston are your individual champions. And good luck. 5A golf is Friday and Saturday at Rexburg, and 4A golf is Friday and Saturday in Idaho Falls. So we'll see if maybe some home course advantage can come through for those East Idaho golfers. We will have to wait and see. Let's talk postseason soccer next. What I'm going to do is share my screen here. So fans that are watching on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel or Facebook page will get to see the brackets up on the screen, and you can follow along there. Just make your screens full size. If you are listening to the podcast at IdahoSports.com or wherever you download your podcasts, we've got all the district brackets on our homepage, IdahoSports.com. Boys and girls soccer district brackets, not just for East Idaho, but every district around the state. So you're going to want to follow, obviously, your favorite teams, but you want to see, okay, we got the state, who else is getting there, and we have every single district covered.
And you're kind of being modest, Brandon. You've been dropping a lot of content on IdahoSports.com like it's hot with the bubble, the district. brackets, the volleyball. There's a new volleyball piece on there with it. There's more content right now on IdahoSports.com than you might not get your work done at your job.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, just in this week, right? We've had all the new coaches polls just came out today for volleyball, soccer, football. You mentioned a new volleyball feature we're going to have each week. Keeping up with the kill, former Century High standout Lindsay Togiai Afuk is going to kind of just give us her volleyball. She's a great volleyball player and now is a coach. And she's going to give us her kind of statewide analysis each week on what stood out to her. Yes, I had the bubble watch for all the football teams around the state of Idaho. 4A was a mess. I went to the IHSAA handbook and they had the wrong information in there about how many teams got in from each district. They changed it. They changed that and then didn't update it in the handbook. So, I was going off of bad intel. I finally got that fixed, by the way. So,
okay. Yeah. I was a little confused with some of it, but again, if you play 4A football and have a helmet, you might make the tournament. So
yes,
it's kind of hard to follow.
I will be updating the bubble watch each week as well with the latest, and it's an exercise basically. And if the playoffs started today, what teams would be in the field? Where would they be seated? What would the matchups be? And so it's kind of just a fun exercise. I know I will update that the last 2 weeks of the regular season as well, because I'm a glutton for punishment. And then, yes, all of the district brackets for soccer are on our site, IdahoSports.com. East Idaho is really the only part of the state that's getting going with district soccer. So let's go ahead and start with Class 3A District 5, because that was the very first district to get started with soccer way back at the start of this week. So let's start by taking a look at the boys bracket. There were actually matches tonight as we're recording this, so I don't have those scores yet, but
American Falls beat Marsh Valley.
Okay.
6-1, I believe.
6-1. Geez, see, you're always breaking news on the podcast, Sean. This is really good.
Former colleague teaches, and she helps coach out at helps coach the boys at American Falls. So I might have saw a post.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I will update that here as soon as we're done on the podcast. Okay, so here's the District 5 bracket. 4-team affair. Number 1 seed is American Falls. The 2 seed is Marsh Valley. Aberdeen, the 3 seed. Snake River, the 4. They started play on Monday, and American Falls gets to host all of the matches because they're the number 1 seed. American Falls beat Snake River on Monday 11-0. And again, this is boys soccer. Marsh Valley beat Aberdeen 3-1, and that's set up basically tonight. Snake River and Aberdeen in a loser-out match, and American Falls and Marsh Valley on the winner side of the bracket. Sounds like the Beavers won that game, which is no surprise. American Falls definitely the favorite here. The second place team from this bracket will have a chance to get to state with a play-in game. It's going to be a tall order, though, because Sugar Salem and Teton, if you'll remember, met in the championship last year. So they're going to have to play one of those 2 teams more than likely. That's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, I would agree. It's Sugar Salem and Teton's kind of to lose, right? And so even if one of them lose, the second place out of District 5 it's going to be a tough road in that play-in game. But that's how it should be. Those games should be that way, and I like it's that way. You still have an opportunity, but it's not a walk in the park by any means.
Definitely. We would show you the District 6 bracket, but it's not finalized yet. There's actually still tomorrow night, Thursday night, October 6th. The final batch of regular season matches will take place, and from there, we'll be able to tell you the 4-team bracket with Sugar, Teton, Firth, and South Fremont. So let's go ahead and take a look at the girls soccer brackets. Girls soccer for District 5 in 3A competition. You get to see all my Google folders there. This is behind the scenes. This is how the brackets get updated. So, all right. So this is a 5-team bracket because Malad plays girls soccer, and Malad beat Aberdeen in the play-in match on Monday 2-1. So they got a 2-1 victory. That put them up against American Falls tonight as well. That might have been moved to tomorrow because American Falls can't possibly host all these games with boys and girls. I'll have to double check that. But it is Malad against American Falls, the 1 seed. And then we have the 2 versus 3 matchup on Monday. Marsh Valley beat Snake River 4-0. So Marsh Valley has already advanced to that winner's side of the bracket. Meanwhile, Snake River will play Aberdeen in a loser-out battle. And again, American Falls kind of the favorite coming in. The second place team will get a chance to battle the second place team from District 6 in a state tournament play-in game. The girls' path might be a little easier. Not much, but a little easier than the boys.
Yeah, it'll probably be kind of a similar setup. I think Sugar Salem and girls are pretty solid again, and they'll probably about the same. Kind of maybe one of those teams is dropping down to play. But yeah, American Falls looks to kind of maybe sweep in the District 5 soccer arena.
Definitely. All right, let's move up to 4A because that's the other district that's really gotten it going, and we'll keep it with girls soccer here. District 5 for 4A girls soccer. There it is. Pocatello, the 1 seed, Century, the 2 seed, Preston, the 3 seed. Tuesday, Century and Preston battled. Diamondbacks get a 1-0 win. They'll take it. They're going to play Pocatello in the winners battle tomorrow, Thursday at 4:00.
Yep. Preston and Century girls have had some pretty tough matches, and I believe this one was won in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. Too, this goal came in overtime, so that was pretty good. Century's had to change goalkeepers a couple times. The only reason I know this is because one goalkeeper's father is my dentist, and he's like, "Yeah, my daughter's playing," and then the other goalkeeper plays tennis for me. So, yeah, they've had some changes in there, but both are getting it done, and they're kind of peaking at the right time. So, good for them because, Pocatello is really solid this year.
Yeah, Pokey definitely the favorite. And now, if Century loses this game to Pokey, they got to turn right around and play Preston again. That's the thing with the 3-team district is you could play the same opponent really 5-6 times in 1 year by the time it's all said and done. But Pokey definitely the favorite there on the girls' side. Let's check in on the district bracket for the boys for Class 4A District 5. Again, Century, the 1 seed, Pocatello, the 2 seed, Preston, the 3 seed. Pocatello beats Preston on Tuesday 2-0. Pokey and Century will battle in boys soccer as well on Thursday.
Yeah, and Preston boys had just beaten Century and Pokey at the end of the regular season. It was kind of on a hot streak, and I know the Pocatello team they were not taking that game lightly, and that Preston kind of got hot at the right time. And then again with the 3-team bracket, you're not out of it. You lose that first game, whoever you're going to play, and you don't want to play that hot team because we all know how soccer can go as far as penalty kicks now that it's a district action or what have you. Sometimes the best team does not win in soccer. Definitely
not. And this one I think is a little more wide open than the girls competition, and so we'll just have to wait and see. The next domino will fall Thursday when Century takes on Pocatello there. Let's take a look at 5A now. This will get started this weekend. 5A boys, District 5 and 6. Thunder Ridge gets the 1 seed, Madison the 2 seed, Highland the 3 seed, Rigby the 4 seed. So Rigby will be at Thunder Ridge on Saturday at 1. Highland will be at Madison on Saturday at 1.
Yeah, and Thunder Ridge is a team with state. They want to go to state. They want to win state, right? So they've been kind of the favorites all year in this district, and kind of one of the better teams in just Southeast Idaho as far as boys go. They've pretty much beaten everyone, and that'll be kind of their district to win or lose. I think the other teams, it's kind of a coin flip. Some of these other teams could win and sneak in, and sometimes you see that in soccer, the lowest seed makes it in there, and again in this one they can play. The second place finisher can do a play-in match as well.
Yeah, Madison is the team that I'm having a hard time figuring out here. And you're right, Thunder Ridge 13-0-1. They are unbeaten this year. In fact, the only time they didn't actually win, they had one tie against Hillcrest, 1-1, way back at the start of the year. So Madison is a team, they swept Highland. That's how they got the 2 seed, right? They went 3-3 in conference. Highland went 2-4. But they, the second time they only beat Highland 1-0. And then they turn around and lose to Rigby 1-0, and they kind of push Thunder Ridge in the season finale on Tuesday night, and they lose 2-1. So Madison's got the potential, but they've been a hard team to figure out this year.
Yeah, I would agree. There's just been some kind of ups and downs, and Idaho Falls has a lot of really good teams. Thunder Ridge, Hillcrest, and Idaho Falls are all just really tough boys teams this year. So they've had some good intercity competition, and I think that will pay off as this district tournament progresses.
Definitely. And in the District 6 brackets for 4A, we're still kind of waiting to see where everybody gets seated for that as well. So that's why we're not showing you those. But we'll talk about those next week for sure. There are 2 spots available, right? District champ, and then also second place will get the chance to play the 6th place team from District 3 in a state play-in game. I think whoever is there has a good chance.
Yeah, that's usually a very winnable match for either team, but I like Southeast Idaho's chances there, just because at the top of the teams you usually got a really good team, having to just play in to get in with only so many reps.
Definitely. So let's take a look at the girls' side for District 5 and 6 for Class 5A soccer. Bear with me, folks, as I click through all these folders. All right. And again, Highland, the 1 seed, Madison, the 2 seed, Thunder Ridge, the 3 seed, Rigby, the 4 seed. This one is interesting as well, where Highland did win the regular season title, but it was close. I mean, when you look at the standings this year, really the top 3 teams all pushed each other. Highland went 5-1. Thunder Ridge and Madison each went 2-2-2. 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. Madison gets the 2 seed though, by virtue of they did draw with Thunder Ridge, but they also beat the Titans head-to-head 3-2.
And Rigby is probably the best 4 seed in a tournament. I know that team is really, really, really good too. And you could see these games going kind of any way possible. A lot of twists and turns, or maybe Highland just kind of continues their dominance in the district. But I know Rigby is a pretty good 4 seed. Like, you're kind of thinking, oh, they're just the last team in the district, but they're pretty good. So it should be a great tournament.
Yeah, Highland will get Rigby on Saturday. That Thunder Ridge Madison game is going to be that's going to be a fun match.
It's probably penalty kicks, right? You can just kind of you feel it like it's going to go to penalty kicks.
Yes. Same deal here. District champ gets to go to state. Second place gets a chance via the play-in game against the 6th place team from District 3. That would be a neutral site game at Canyon Ridge High School next Saturday. All right, let's talk volleyball real quick. Sean, Madison and Malad both hosted tournaments last week. Westside did really well at the Malad tournament. Butte County won the silver bracket. And then Madison, is it the battle of the best of the West? I can't remember.
The battle of the best. They went 7-0, won that over Timberline of Boise in the gold bracket, and in the silver bracket, Century beat Twin Falls in the championship match. And also Thunder Ridge girls took 3rd in the gold bracket, and the Pocatello Thunder took 5th in the silver bracket. So a lot of East Idaho teams represented well there, because they had a bunch of Boise teams. They had Columbia, which has a really good volleyball team this year. It has a lot of hype surrounding them. They had Mountain View. And then, as we know, District 6, every team in District 6 is a good volleyball team. I mean, I don't know what else to say. They're all good. Bonneville, Idaho Fall, they're all really good.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch that district tournament unfold as we get closer to the finish line. And speaking of finish lines, we'll wrap with this, Sean. 3rd and final cross-country broadcast of the season on Idaho Sports coming up tomorrow. Thursday, October 6th, the annual Bob Conley Invite, hosted by Highland over at the Portneuf Wellness Complex in Pocatello. I'll be there. Paul Kingsbury will be there on the call. There are 43 teams competing. There's going to be a varsity B and A division for both boys and girls. B division is basically 3A, 2A, 1A schools. The A division is 5A and 4A programs. Going to be good competition and much better weather than last year's Bob Conley Invite.
Yeah, didn't it rain out last year? Did it rain, or was it windy? I can't remember. It was something.
It was both.
And and I mean, a huge shout out to the Bannock commissioners and the Portneuf, Wellness Trust. They put on a great event there, and I know every coach loves that as a venue for the race. And I don't know why. I don't know exactly why, because obviously running is not my forte, as we can look if you're watching the the live version of this. But yeah, they just like this. All the coaches say they like the setup. It's run well. I think it's because it's kind of close knit and it can be really big and small, like in the spatial aspect of it. And so I'll be really good. And that's a precursor, man. People that win that win state.
Definitely. Last year, it was such a slop. Neela Roberts from Skyline won the girls' title. The last stretch, she lost her shoe actually and finished it with only one shoe and ran the other part, barefoot. That was really memorable. She is kind of the favorite coming in again this year for Skyline. And on the boys' side, really up for grabs. Idaho Falls has some good runners. Soda Springs has a good runner, so we'll have to keep an eye on the competition. It starts at 1:20 tomorrow. The first varsity race is at 1:20 tomorrow on IdahoSports.com. Should be a good time.
Yep, it's that time of year. Parent-teacher conferences, a couple days off school, and we'll running.
Definitely. All right. Friendly reminder, you can see everything that we're broadcasting on IdahoSports.com by clicking on the game streams tab on the homepage. And like Sean said, lots of good content. You should be checking out IdahoSports.com, especially now that we're into postseason action. Really should be checking daily because we're going to have all the scores, the updated brackets, all the latest information you need to know. It's all at IdahoSports.com. All right, Sean, rest up. We've got a big game Friday night, Highland against Rigby in football at Iron Horse Stadium. Should be a great one.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I've been contacting people about it, just trying to get some insight and some different things. And I'm real excited to see. I'd like to see Highland find a way to kind of turn the tide in that series. But we all know what Rigby has, and Armando Gonzalez is put together. I always kind of think of it as like the program from that movie, The Program, but. I mean, none of the bad things up there. They're all really nice, but it's like they've turned it into a program. They're shooting out guys, they're playing hard. So, I think it'll be a contrast of styles and a fun football game for Friday night.
Yeah, a couple of Idaho State Bengals might have, Ian Hershey, the former Highland kicker, and Christian Fredrickson, who's really balling out at wide receiver for the Bengals, former Rigby Trojan. We'll see if maybe they put a bet on the game or something like that.
a little friendly wager, right?
That's
right.
You
have to do my laundry or something. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Chore bet, no doubt. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, to the East Idaho Prepcast. We'll see you back here next week. For Sean Kane, I'm Brandon Baney on IdahoSports.com.